All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. Big day in Diddy's potential rest of his life. So the jury has been deliberating for multiple days, going back and forth. They've had some very interesting questions for the judge that are very telling on kind of where they're at. And I want to show you exactly what I mean because as of this moment, four verdicts have been reached, but they can't come to an agreement on the RICO charge, which is the racketeering. Just essentially a catch-all for the organized crime with the predicates underneath it. So I think that I can make a very strong prediction on what the verdicts on these other counts are going to be based on this story right here. So this came out earlier today. Okay, so there's a question that was asked to the judge prior to them coming to a verdict on the associated charge. But now we know that they have, in fact, come to a verdict on that charge, which is the drug distribution. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to give a couple other updates, like as an example, Mr. Tony Busby is now off the hook for this lawsuit that Jay-Z had filed against him. So we'll talk about that as well once we get through the kind of primary part of this video, which I just outlaid. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not done that yet. We're going to handshake it. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, that's your hand. That's my hand and your hand handshaking that you will subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet and like the video if you have not. Dude, it's so funny. Like sometimes I get these, I get comments where they're like, Jesse on Fire, I decide whether or not I'm going to like your video. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. Of course you decide. It's like, this is like kind of like an incentive where it's like, we're having a parasocial relationship. Like if someone said that to me and they're like, this is your hand and you're going to like the video, I would like the video. That's why I do it, dude. I would do it for you. You know what I'm saying? I would do it for you. All right. Anyway, so let me tell you something else though, real quick. Now, I have seen a person looking grungy before, and I've seen a person looking bad. However, I have never seen a person with dirtier sunglasses than this ever. I mean, this is egregious. Look at his sunglasses. How could anyone have glasses that are that gross? You know what I mean? Like you're way too rich to have sunglasses that are smudged like that. That he looks like a raging drug addict right there. You know, I mean, I know that's kind of like a weird thing to notice, but that is, clean those off, my dude. You know, now, okay, so this is the question as we actually get into the meat and bones of this thing. Okay, so this is the question that needs to get answered. That they asked for clarification from the judge. All right, now we're going to come back to this because I want to read you the verdicts, and then we're going to come back to that so that I can tell you why I believe it informs us what the verdict's going to be. So jury reaches verdict on 4 counts. No verdict on RICO. So Diddy is one step closer to learning his fate because the jury in his federal criminal trial says they have reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts against him, but they did not have a verdict on the racketeering conspiracy charge. The music mogul is huddling with his lawyers in the federal courthouse in Manhattan, where he stood trial for the last 7 weeks. Hey, I'm sure he's not very stressed out, you guys. You know, can you imagine what he's going through right now? You know, like I know it's probably hard for you to put yourself in the place of Diddy. Well, honestly, it's hard for me to put myself in his position because I can't make heads or tails of who this dude is. You know, like I have no idea who this guy is at all. I know that he hits women, which pretty serious problem for me, obviously. But I also know that there clearly is some gigantic kind of high level conspiracy to bury him. Now, doesn't mean he's not guilty of the things he's getting buried for, but that you are not going to convince me otherwise. But either way, if you're him, he is sitting there with his people, and the verdict of what comes back from these jurors is going to determine whether he leaves. If he gets exonerated, you guys realize he's going home. Okay, he's going home. If he gets exonerated, he's going home. And there has to be part of him that believes that is possible, that really might happen, you know. So, and then on the flip side, if he's guilty, like he may never see his family outside of a prison ever again. I mean, that's the level that we're operating at. Now, given, I'm going to be honest with you, though. I know that Trump kind of like, was, maybe I'll pardon Diddy. If they actually convict him and then they sentence him to some ridiculous amount of time, I actually think that Trump might for real pardon him because the case is such horseshit and because James Comey's daughter is the one who is trying the case. That is an arch enemy of Trump's. I mean, that is as arch enemy as you're going to get. Now, I realize Diddy has done a lot of things that are anti that guy, but I have a feeling if he pardons him, he'll make a pretty big advocate for it. It's not like Diddy's going to have any kind of sway over anyone anymore, but nonetheless, right? Like, it is possible. Okay, so hold up the note says the jurors are unable to reach a verdict on count 1 as they have jurors on each side. Count 1 is a racketeering conspiracy. Okay, yeah. So that's the racketeering conspiracy. So what that means, though, guys, okay, what that tells you, very important, is that there are a lot of people who are finding him guilty of racketeering. That means they're finding him guilty of underlying crimes also. Just so we're clear, like that means like he's going to be guilty. Like he's not going to be found not guilty. And we know that now because of that sentence right there. Okay. Like he's not getting acquitted on all counts if there are any people who are on the side of guilty in racketeering. Okay. He's probably going to be found guilty of almost everything. But racketeering is like this different thing where they're like, I mean, this is like, is this really organized crime? Okay. Now that still does not speak to what I was talking about earlier, though, related to the question. Okay. So Judge Arun Subramanian is waiting for prosecutors and the defense to send proposals for how to proceed. The options on the table are send the jury back to continue deliberations and reach a verdict on racketeering, which both sides say that they want. The other option would be to allow the partial verdict and allow them to hang on racketeering, which would be a hung jury. They won't retry it. It's just that'll be the end of the case if that's what happens. So the jury began deliberations on Monday after hearing testimony from the prosecution's 34 witnesses, seeing a bunch of exhibits, listening to closing arguments, and receiving legal instructions from the judge. He's charged with 5 counts. Listen, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy. That's the only one they don't have a verdict on. They already have verdicts on everything else you're gonna hear. Okay, 2 counts of sex trafficking involving ex-girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and Jane, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. It is insanity that this is the case that they brought against him. Now that the whole thing is out in the open. The fact that they actually brought this case and they're calling it racketeering, okay? It's really just sex trafficking with these 2 gold diggers who agreed to this behavior. It is insane. I cannot believe they have successfully put me in a position where I'm like passionately arguing that he should not be convicted of this absolute horseshit case, but that's exactly where I'm at. It's bullshit. This case is fucking horseshit, okay? He's guilty of domestic violence, no question. But this is horseshit, okay? Now, this is a good time. I'm going to come back to this, though. But first, let me show you this, okay? So Diddy trial, jury question, what does drug distribution mean, Your Honor? Judge clarifies in note. Okay. So here's the big thing. And this is why, in my opinion, he should also, I don't know, like, to be honest, I don't really understand how these 2 things are happening at the same time. Okay. So they said, here's the question that they asked. Okay. This is what the jurors asked the judge for clarification on. If an individual asks for a controlled substance and this person hands it over, is that distribution? Okay. Do you understand? So again, if an individual asks for a controlled substance and the person hands it over, is it distribution? Right? And so what they're saying is, if the person is willingly taking this stuff, is it still distribution if you're the one who handed it to them and they didn't get any money? Okay? And the prosecution team wants a clear yes answer to that question. The defense team simply wanted a restatement of the judge's original instructions, which seems to indicate they wanted the jury to continue to wrestle with the issue because the jury presumably already had the instructions packet when they sent the note to the judge. Okay? Let me be clear on that too. Like, there should be no gray area on a thing like that, right? Okay, so the judge listened to the lawyers and then sent a note Thursday morning reading, the word distribution means actual, constructive, or attempted transfer. To distribute simply means to deliver, to pass over, or to hand over something to another person, or to cause it to be delivered, passed on, or handed over to another. Distribution does not require a sale. So what he's saying, okay, is that yes, if you have a group of people who are willingly going to meet in a hotel room and they're going to be taking drugs and then they're going to be having sex, if someone is the source of those drugs and they hand them to people, are they guilty of distribution? And the answer apparently sounds like is yes. Now, in fairness, I didn't pay super close attention to what they said about Diddy's like drug mules, because it sounds like they were the ones who were handing those out to people. Okay. Now, again, I don't want to get into the weeds on that because I don't really necessarily. I don't know exactly how, like, the chain of custody on all these drugs. What I can say is that everyone knows that drug distribution is not meant to be applied that way. Okay. Like, I'm just not going to sugarcoat that at all. If you really think that every time, so like you're telling me that every time that, let's say you got your wisdom teeth out, right? And you got a bottle of Vicodin. This is coming from a former addict. Okay. Like, this shit's not a game messing around with opioids at all. But you're telling me that anyone who ever got a, wisdom teeth pulled, and then their roommate had a headache, and they're like, oh my God, you don't like those Vicodins, right? Can I get a couple of those? And then you gave them a couple of your prescribed Vicodins. Like, that's drug distribution. That's drug distribution. And that should go under a RICO. Give me a break. Okay. Like, come on, dude. And here's the other thing, right? What that question indicates to me is that there are obviously people on the jury who are acknowledging that these people were doing this willingly. Okay. They were doing this willingly. That's the only reason they would ask that question, as far as I'm concerned. Right? It's like, that's the only way that I can read this. I'm trying to find the exact wording. If an individual asks for a controlled substance, right? If a person asks for it and it's handed over, there you go. That's them acknowledging, like, these girls wanted this, right? And they did. Do not, okay? I can't stress this enough. Don't let your own experiences in life fool you into believing that these girls were not willing participants in this entire thing, because they were, okay? Bottom line. Yeah, I am very, very adept at sifting through horse shit when people are telling stories. And I'm telling you, after seeing everything that I've seen in this trial, these girls, okay, Cassie and the other one, these are not victims of sex trafficking. They may have been, well, not may have been, they were beaten up. It's not the same thing. Look at how they spoke to him afterwards. Okay, like, look at like the conversations that are like how Cassie behaved after Diddy would have an outburst and beat her up. She would send him pictures and be like, I want you to remember this. You remember this, Diddy. Okay, she's not some girl who's like locked in a box. She was in a toxic relationship with a person who hits girls. Okay? And she was getting a lot out of it too. Okay, remember that the assistant, she testified that when she told Cassie that she was in a very toxic, gross relationship that she should walk away from, that what did Cassie say? Cassie said, well, who am I going to date then? Jay-Z's taken. She said that. Okay? And after 11 years, it got so toxic that she ultimately left. And who did she leave with? She left with a trainer that Diddy hired for her. Okay? Like, this is not, it's not sex trafficking. It's not sex trafficking. And if it is, then they need to rewrite the law. And also this thing of, transporting prostitutes. Okay. Like, they got a male prostitute to come that the girl herself called and booked. She's the one who booked it, dude. Anyway, so my hypothesis on this is that, if there's anyone who is in the camp of convicting for RICO, I can't imagine that he's going to be found not guilty on everything. I just can't. That seems extraordinarily unlikely to me. Okay. Now, the thing on the Tony Busby case that I wanted to show you guys is this. So a judge has dismissed Jay-Z's lawsuit against Texas lawyer Tony Busby. Listen, what can I even say about this, dude? Tony Busby has somehow turned the Diddy case into like a brand new business model. Okay. Like, every single one of these new cases where there's a famous dude and an accuser who says the dude did blah, 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 and it's really questionable and kind of fishy, and you look at it, you're like, what the fuck? It's Tony Busby every time. It's really crazy. Like, he's behind all of them. Now, let me just make clear. Okay. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't put yourself in that position if, you know what I mean? It's like, if you have if you roll in the dirt, you get dirty, right? Like, the kinds of girls that would meet you at a hotel, talk about wanting your baby gravy, like the girl in the Shannon Sharp one specifically, or the one in the Andrew Tate one where she's like, yeah, oh yeah, baby, choke me, blah, 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 and then turn around and sue them. Like, those are dirty girls, all right? The Andrew Tate one, like, you absolutely have to be kidding me. You've been together with him for a year. Everybody knows what he's into. And oh my God, he wanted to play rough in bed. Oh, shocker. Like, use Google. Okay, you would have known that. And you hung out with him a bunch of times after, so get out of here. Okay, but Tony Busby again. Tony Busby with the Jay-Z one. That one, the 13-year-old girl with literally not even one phone call of background for Tony Busby on that lawsuit. Literally, just call the dad. Be like, hey, do you remember picking her up? Because she says that you picked her up. No, I don't remember that. Like, I mean, obviously, if you have a name and you can prove that you knew these people, actually, apparently with that one, you don't even need to do that. Busby will take the case and he'll sue them. Like, I can't even imagine how much money he must have gotten from settlements outside of court. Honestly, like, I can't even imagine how much money he must have made. That's the only way to explain why he's doing this over and over and over and over and over. But anyway, I want to hurry and get this one out because I think we're going to have an actual verdict soon. So love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.